Fellas, does the hat work or not? Kind of stupid to wear a hat inside. All right, let's wait for some people to get on here. Live chat. I wanted to talk about. Not sure what I wanted to do. I just wanted to kind of open this up for a Q&A. Probably going to take some time for people to get on, but Q&A. Test. Multi-species. God, I've been hammering this more. You know, one of the things I'm wanting to do, if anybody's on, just say something. Hey, what up? Oh, Cole Outdoor. Yeah, hey, man. I'm doing pretty good. So I'm just wanting to open this up, Q&A, you know, probably give people some time to click on. Here we are back at the hole in the wall. What you see is what you get. You know, I'm really been wanting to build a fly rod, you know. I just build, I don't buy rods, man. I just build all my own rods. Matt B's in the house. Can you use felt bottom waders in your state for fly fishing? I have no idea. I don't much fancy wading in 40 feet of water. I mean, you gotta understand, in this state, there's no wading. It's just you're either on the bank or you're in a boat. I mean, there's just no wading. There's just no. It just doesn't happen. You know, it's a completely different geography down here. The waters are very deep. I mean, shallow water for me is like 20 feet deep. So now you see why I'm adding lead core line and doing all this stuff to my fly lines, because it's a completely different environment. Want to see some fishing? Well, that's nice. Can't make it stop raining. I can't make it stop raining at all. I mean, you know, I just can't. I mean, middle of winter. Can't make it start raining. I had an awesome show today. I'm not sure. Was it a live stream show, or did you just go out fishing, or what? I'm talking to Kyle. Is it Cole? Sounds like Cole to me. These old eyes. People want to see fish. People don't really realize just how hard it is to go fishing. Because I have obligations here. I have customers that want products to buy from me, so I got to be here in the shop to finish out those products. I got 3 reels, should be going out. Well, it could go out tomorrow if the varnish is fully cured. Very thin last coat of varnish. I've got, and then it rained well this morning, then it quit. The rain's gonna be back late tonight. I could have made it out, but then I wouldn't have had my other video. I'm really serious about getting 4 videos a week out. 3 of those videos and then 1 live stream here. Because I need to, in order to continue doing what I'm doing, I have to grow the channel. And there's just no way that I can put out 4 videos a week by fishing 4 days a week and get business obligations done here and continue to edit the footage and continue to grow as a videographer. It's just too much. I can't. So one of my strengths is I'm a teacher, and I can teach the things I've learned. And then what I'm going to do is take my fishing videos, if you notice, my fishing videos are of a higher production value, and I'm trying to make those as much like a National Geographic documentary film or an independent documentary film as possible. So because there's plenty of people putting up, hey, watch me go fishing videos. There's plenty of people doing that, and I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I mean, there's plenty of other people who do that, who are better at that than I am. And so, like, I was out at the river yesterday, but the rain and the fog, and I don't have running lights on my boat, so I can't be out there when it's foggy and stuff. Out there in the middle of the day is fine. But I got some testing done, and if I had just shot that little bit of testing, it would have been like a 3-minute video. I mean, I've been up to the river about 2 times, and I've shot a bunch of footage. And in this next video I have of the past week or so, of doing what I can, I only have about 4 minutes and 27 seconds worth of footage. And I want my fishing videos to run about 9 to 10 minutes. Less than 15 minutes for sure. But, 9, 10 minutes is a good running time for a sort of like a short film type thing. And I know maybe not everybody likes all that documentary type stuff, but it's what I do best. And I'm going to always do what I do best because, part of me as a former, as a musician in a former life, I have no idea of doing anything halfway. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't mind letting the desk slide and go sloppy here, but my videos, I take that seriously. Because it's like when I was back playing the horn, I took that very seriously. So, but that's how that works. All right, so we got awesome show today. Yeah, I do a live morning show every day. I bring on guests. I had Brian, dude, I can't pronounce that. Brosdahl. Same way as you, I started this morning show to be different than everyone else. Yeah, I mean, you got to be, see, that's the thing. I mean, one of the things that has disturbed me on YouTube, and I shouldn't say it's disturbing, but as more and more people get into YouTube, and I love the platform, it is an awesome platform. I mean, in years past, we would have had to get on TV, which is none of us could afford a TV show or a radio show. Just can't afford it. And so the YouTube is the new public access channel, and it's the amazing amount of money that Google and YouTube is pumping into this. But because the barrier of entry is essentially nothing, all you got to have is a cell phone. My gosh, there's a lot of incredibly bad video out there, and I don't ever want to call somebody's video bad, but when I see so many YouTubers, no matter what they're trying to do, have they ever really studied radio production or TV production or film or anything? Not to say you had to go to film school or anything for it, but did you ever maybe buy a book on podcasting and so you could do your morning show or what we're doing here? Or did you ever buy a book on, movies? Or do you ever watch a lot of documentaries or watch a lot of, TV or watch a lot of movies and seeing how they do things and seeing how you can bring that into, you can't do everything they do, but there's some basic things. And so for me, that's important to me. It may not be important to everybody and the way everybody else works. Like for me, I would much rather, in my music background, that's my puffball thingy, I'd much rather be in front of this microphone. That's much more comfortable to me. So the fact that this camera is just a webcam, the audio is really horrible, I hate it, but that's about all I can do for right now. And so that's what you have to do. But the point being is there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that looks just like everybody else's stuff. And one of the things that, I watch surprisingly few fishing videos because the main reason I'm watching fishing videos is to learn something. I'm always trying to expand my knowledge base. I'm always trying to understand the way different forms of fishing look and work around the world. I don't care if it's some dude in China fishing with, some cormorants on a raft, like birds and stuff on a raft. I mean, I can learn something from that. And I can incorporate that into my fishing. And the last thing I want to do is just for it to look like somebody else's fishing video. I mean, I could literally give you a book on filmmaking or whatever and give it to every single one of you. And every single one of you applied every single thing that's in the book. Every single one of your videos will come out looking differently because we all have different ways of expressing and things like that. And that's the way it ought to be. But so often on YouTube, just everything looks like everything else. And that's the last thing. That's the last thing I want. But anyway, enough talking. Let's see who else is on. Yeah, I know Matt B was on. Jordan is on. Ben Ozark is on. I like the scenery in your videos. Fishing is a plus for me. And I like, Yeah, yeah. That's part of what I think I'm here to do, is just to show the beauty of God's creation, and ultimately as a way to point people to God. You know, and I'm a man of faith and all that, and I'm not ashamed of it. But that's the reason I do that. And some people, they don't like that, and I'm thinking, gosh, if you're out here in all this beauty and you're not wanting to enjoy that, then what's the point? I mean, right? So that's why I do that. And that's a technique too. They call it, well, in some ways they call it B-roll. You're trying to give people a sense of where you are. A lot of YouTubers are doing this with drones now, and they're doing it with movies. And years ago, in movies and TV shows, you just had to have a helicopter. Again, insanely expensive. Had to have a helicopter and a big old monstrous camera mounted on a helicopter. It's amazing. That's been replaced by a device that's not much bigger than this little soundboard here, which even this thing's obsolete, because the thing I have on my camera, it's like, let me show you. Think about this for a second. This is a fairly new board here, USB. It's what I was going to use for a podcast, and it never came to fruition. But this has been replaced by this. See how much smaller that is? Right? This does everything this does, and it's better. The preamps in this thing are very noisy and hissy. The audio here, if you've heard in my videos, the audio is pretty clean, even with just these little Rode video type microphones. So the technology is a lot. The technology is a lot more advanced, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I just can't use it for anything anymore. Paperweight. Share it on Twitter. Thanks. I'd appreciate it if you would. I keep forgetting to do things like that. It's always so much to do. I try to put the thumbnail together. I should have put the thumbnail on Twitter and Pinterest, and where else am I on? I'm on some other forums. I spend a lot of time on forums. Texas Fishing Forum is probably my favorite. Crappie.com is probably my second favorite. I spent a little time on flyfishingforums.com. I spent a little time on, Old Mini Bike Forums is the place where they build these go-kart engines because I'm using a go-kart engine essentially as my power plant for my boat motor. So I put some stuff there every now and again. I spend a lot of time on the TubeBuddy forums. And let me tell you something. See, Grant McIntosh, how's it going? Oh, wow. Grant, thanks. Yeah, Cole just mentioned that he had a morning show. I didn't know. I so hate how this camera and the audio looks. I so hate it because I have way better equipment. I just can't really quite get it. Sometimes it's hard to get it linked up, especially with Linux. And it's really not bad. I just need a device that'll allow me to hook my GH4 to my computer and let me live stream with it. That way I could use this thing and sound a whole lot better. But quite frankly, I don't really feel like doing all that right now. So thanks for coming by. I'm happy for anybody. Sorry for the shakes. This table is sort of old and rickety. In this time of the year, I'm not doing a lot of fishing anyway. Someone asked they want to see some fishing videos. Well, what's the point of fishing if they're not biting? We're not in a time of the month where the fish are biting, and we're not in a time of the year where the fish are particularly active. So what's the point? It's just, that's one of the things you have to remember with fishing, is that you are at the mercy of the planet itself. I can't make it springtime or summer or autumn. I can't make the fish feed when we're between moons. Some fish are almost always feeding, but it's the full moon and the new moon is when they feed. Between the moons, they just kind of hold tight. And this time of the year, they're just conserving energy because it's cold or we got a lot of rain, so there's a high water situation, so they're just holding. You'll catch something, but at some point you got to look at, okay, how much gas is it going to take me to get out there? How much am I actually likely to catch? And then outside of just the YouTube video itself, what am I really accomplishing by being out there? Again, I said I went out there I've been out there about a couple of days this week up there. But that was really the one to get some B-roll footage for the upcoming show. Coming up with episode 2 of the what do you call it? The multi-species fly fishing show. That I hate that title, but that's what everybody's typing into the search engines now. So that's kind of where that comes from. Sometimes, I'd rather call it fly rodders or something. But the cool title stuff people don't click on. People click on the stuff that's in their own heads. That's a clue, right? That's how it works, and that's fine with me. It's just so I got some footage yesterday, and it was just raining. It was just foggy, and the thing I was testing was my new rig. Let me show you my rig. I'm going to do a drop shot rig on my fly rod. So what we have is my fly reel here. So Okuma 6.7 weight, and I use a 7.8 weight old fiberglass Phillipson. And I actually don't cast much with my fly rod. I spend most of my time just dragging lures behind the boat, drifting and trolling. So I'm going to do it drop shot. You got this is one of my triple threat swivels it's available on my website. That's Black Warrior Lures. As weight, I use this with my other gears on my boat. It's just a weight to help it get down, and that about 18 inches up from that. Really. You ever wonder why? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, I see. Never mind. Let's try that again. So I got a weight. That could be a split shot, anything, doesn't matter. But I'm just using one of the swivels there because you can hear it. Don't know if you can hear that, but just a little bit of a noise rattle. 18 inches up from that, or about a dropper. Really? This is why I don't like reeling everything up into the reel that much. It's just not gonna do it. I'm gonna just take it. So dropper, sinker, dropper, dropper, and then another dropper. So 3 droppers. That's started out with about 6 feet worth of 8-pound mono. See, that should be enough. And that's going to one of my furrowed leaders, or what I call a shock leader, that I used to use with my hand lines. And that leader is only about 18 inches long. Started out with about a 6 foot long piece of leader. Twisted it down so you have the thick butt there, tapering down to a thinner butt, tapering down to a knot to knot, loop to loop connection, made out of 12-pound test line. So the finishing connection is a 12-pound test line to an 8-pound test line. And if it's quadrupled here, that 12-pound test is all of a sudden looking like something like a 48-pound test line, dropping down to about half that, about 24 right there at the knot, down to 12. So it's like having a tapered leader or a knotted leader without all the junk and without the price. You just make it out of monofilament. That's that's one of the videos I need to make. And that's going down to a tippet that has all these droppers on it. Why? Because that rig works in my water. It may not work, that's what I do. All right, from there, I have 3 feet of lead core line, right, to help it get down. And then I have 7 weight forward fly line. I mean, when you're fishing in like 20, 30, 40 feet of water, I mean, just these little floating lines are like a joke, man. They're just like a joke. This ain't river runs through it. This is like The river runs through you, man. It's like so that's how that works. But the video coming out tomorrow is using spinning gear for fly fishing. You know, people don't realize you can actually use the spinning gear that you have and just put a fly on it. You know, and I'm just using simple little these little Afro puff flies that I use. They're probably my favorite ones to tie now. And that's so I can tip them with bait. That's what I do. For those of you who are joining me, I'm just talking random stuff. And when I get tired of talking, I'll look and see who's got any questions. If you have any questions, ask. I'll ask you questions. You ask me questions. You ask each other questions. That's kind of how it works. What part of the world am I in? I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Cottondale, actually. But I don't know if you keep up with college football or not, but it's the same Alabama that always wins, but got creamed by Clemson. I didn't even watch the game. I was like, they're going to lose, man. That's how it is with Alabama. The more they win, the more likely they're going to lose at the most inopportune time. That's how it is. You know, so I just didn't even watch the game. So I'm in Alabama. The Black Warrior Lures is named after the Black Warrior River in west central Alabama. It's part of the Tom Bigby Waterway. So west central Alabama, that eventually dumps down into the Gulf. I don't know if it dumps down. Well, the Black Warrior dumps into the Tom Bigby. Tom Bigby dumps somewhere south of here. I forget geographically. It either dumps into the Mississippi or it just all becomes one of the delta down there on the Gulf. Eventually ends up in the Gulf. So come on, guys, hit the thumbs up. It's all about thumbnails in your channel banner. I've been trying to work my graphics design. I'm just not a graphics designer, man. I'm a musician. You know, that's why I spend so much time on my fishing videos, making them like documentaries and looking for good music to use in them and editing, letting the music set the pace of the video and things like that. That's where my strengths are. My channel banner was just my logo, and that was it. And I've tried to put a couple of pictures up and trying to tell people when the videos are, and it just looks so ugly. I hate it. I'm probably just gonna go back to the logo. Okay, so and my thumbnails are pretty much all the same. There's just a white border around. And I just put letters up, and I try to get a picture up of me in it. Sometimes not, but I've been using the 50mm lens more often than not on my camera. And I use old lenses all the time. I love talking about cameras and lenses and stuff. In fact, I've tried to do more and more videos, but people just don't watch them. They just don't really, I think when it comes to fishermen, I think they like the fishing more than they actually like shooting video. For me, I love shooting video as much, if not more, than the fishing. I love fishing, but because I'm a musician in a form of life, that the dynamic the range of dynamic expression that you can get with video is greater than I think with music alone. And when you combine the music with the images, with the sport of fishing itself, whether you're fishing for food or for fun, it's just a really expressive means of thing. I tell you, the type of videos that I watch a lot on YouTube is I watch a lot of, I know a guy who does them. He likes doing them. He doesn't even charge. Oh gosh, he's got to charge. You can't just let him do them and doesn't charge. He's gonna do it, charge, so he can make some money, man. This is the new world, man. This is like the old world of not doing everything for free is dead. Just buying some pizza or something, you know. Just like that's what I would do. But anyway, you know, I love the old lenses. I love the old lenses. This is a Canon. This is a Canon 24mm lens, and I don't really. I like shooting more telephoto lengths. I like the 50mm because it if you ever get into old school lenses, get a good 50 millimeter lens. It doesn't matter if it's Canon, Motorola, Minolta, or well, Sony bought Minolta, or an old whatever. It doesn't matter. Just get a good 50 millimeter, because those are the best lenses of that era, and they work. I mean, people don't really know that I'm using lenses that were designed back in the 70s. Because the lens doesn't know. The only thing the lens does is take the light. It eats, digests, and poops light. That's all it does. It doesn't know. It doesn't know what the toilet stool that it's on looks like. It doesn't know. It's just it doesn't know. So so it's fun. I like talking about the old lenses, but again, I just think that most fishermen don't really like talking about that kind of stuff so much. I like watching a lot of mountain climbing documentaries and videos. I like watching a lot of National Geographic stuff, and I've come up watching movies and TV like anybody else, and all that form, all of that language, the language of there's 100+ years of motion picture language across a multitude of mediums, whether it be TV, movies, independent movies, blockbuster movies, whatever, that you can learn the craft of how to communicate with picture. What we're doing here, is it really motion picture? Yeah, but it's really more of a sort of a synthesized, we're just hanging out at the pub talking shop. That's really what this is. Is it really, real motion picture is about using moving images to tell a story. That's what it's all about. And that's what I do in my fishing videos. And that's why it takes so long to produce. I didn't have too much to talk about today. I want to get out. The rain is probably going to be back late tonight. I want to get out tomorrow. The new moon is next week, so that'll be the week that I'll probably get a lot more footage fishing. I have some outstanding orders that either be going out tomorrow or Monday that will get me virtually caught up from 2018 and really can get set up for 2019. A lot of people don't know I actually have products to sell on my website, blackwarriorlures.com. Black Warrior Lures. Black Warrior is named after Tuscaloosa, Chief Tuscaloosa, Muskegon Indian, or Native American, however you want to call it, who in Tuscaloosa means Black Warrior in the Muskegon, basically Creek Indian language. It's sort of like derived or something. It's not I don't think it's a word they actually used. It's just sort of derived. And so that's why everything around here is called Black Warrior. That's why it's called that. Everything named after Chief Tuscaloosa. People think I was in the army or something, and it's like, no, I wasn't. It's just, but let me ask you something. Do any of you guys use fluorocarbon, like in anything? I'm not talking about just fly fishing, but whether it be spin fishing, spinning gear, bait casting gear, because I'm seriously considering, getting off mono and moving to fluorocarbon, right? The reason I've always bought mono is because it's absolutely dirt cheap, right? But the waters I fish are very deep, but they're also pretty clear. Right now it isn't clear. It's real sooty. And it gets sooty in the late winters and early spring when you get a lot of rain. But for the most of the year, it is very clear. And there is a big difference. My standby do everything fishing line is 8-pound test monofilament. I'm using that on my fly rods for my tippets. I use that on my spinning rods for my main line, and I just catch them. I'm a multi-species fisherman, and I catch multiple species on that line. The thing is, there is a big difference in my catch rates between using 8-pound line and like 4-pound line. And it's pretty obvious why. In those deep clear waters, the 4-pound line is like half the thickness of this stuff. Therefore, you get a better strike rate or hit rate. And so, but because I essentially troll and drift almost exclusively, you got 500 pounds worth of boat moving one direction and a fish going to come hit it in the opposite direction. 4-pound line will snap like that. All right. Now, I don't have a problem fishing line like this, even to catch fairly big catfish, because they're almost always in the corner of the mouth, and you keep a positive. They don't ever. I've never had a catfish. Only once have I had a catfish break this line, and that was a catfish big enough that I didn't want to land him and eat him anyway, so just let him go. So the thing is, I want to increase catch rates, but the option is either fluorocarbon or copolymer, like actual tippet material. Buy the actual tippet material in the fly section, and it's like a copolymer, so you get something that's thinner than this, but is actually like an 8.5-pound breaking strength, as opposed to this is thicker and it's only 8-pound breaking strength. So it's like, so my question is any of you used, I'm almost exclusively fluoro now. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's just, I mean, this is great, but I think what fluoro could give me, or at the very least copolymer, would be that thinner line, that near neutral visibility or whatever they call it, translucency or whatever they call it, and get catch rates similar to my 4-pound line success, but have the strength of that 8 or 9-pound line. And that's what I'm like right there. I'm like seriously thinking of just leaving this live cast and going to Academy and picking me up some fluoro. I'm just like that close. Okay. Niner, I guess that's it. 9RT or whatever. Just started using it for leaders with braided line for main line. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, the thing is, it's amazing how far fishing line has come technologically speaking. I mean, back in the day, Mom, that's all you had, right? And when I was a kid, this is all you could get. I mean, there just wasn't any. You go to the store, there was nothing else. You just couldn't get anything else. But now it's like you have so many options that there's not necessarily a need to stick with some of the old lines just because you think that's all you have access to. I mean, there's just so many more options now. So yeah, I think that sort of settled it for me. I think I'm going to definitely, I think I have had fluorocarbon in the past, but it was like the 2-pound test stuff or something super hyper light that, and it twisted up on me so bad that I just didn't use it all that much. But I wouldn't be going that light anyway. I mean, 8-pound is plenty light enough for me. But anyway, I want to build a new fly rod this winter. I'm thinking the fly rod I'm currently using is a Phillips 6/7 weight. It's a fiberglass fly rod. It's great. It's tough. It's surprisingly light enough, considering it's an old school fly rod. The old school heavy as a brick fly rods. This one's actually light enough. I'm thinking about giving graphite another try. If you haven't been on my channel for very long, I have this absolute hate of graphite rods because they don't seem to last. Well, the problem is I'm just incredibly hard on my gear. I just don't take care of it. I neglect it a lot, in which fiberglass can be just abused and it just lasts. But, with a fly rod, even with my Phillips 6/7 weight, I kind of have gone back to keeping it in the metal tube that comes with it. And I thought, well, wait a minute. The biggest problem I've always had with my graphite rods was just leaving them put together and having them sitting on the back of my truck, and they hang off the back of the truck, and right where they ride on the tailgate, that's where they always break. Hello, newsflash. So it's like, well, if I just build a fly rod exactly the way I want and just keep it either in the metal tube that I have, and it probably won't fit because that's meant for an 8-foot rod broken down into 2 sections, and a lot of these graphite rods are more like 9. So, but still, a PVC system. I got plenty of material to make a new sock out of, just to wrap it up and keep it in there, take up the space. I'm thinking of just building a new rod. Keep this reel, because when I do a lot of drifting and trolling, this disc drag is vital. I oftentimes will just completely loosen it up, peel out some line, do a quick roll cast out, or a roll cast and then a back cast to get 30 feet of line out or more. And then from there, it's just stripping out a bunch of line till I know I'm hitting bottom here, because you can feel it with this little guy. And then you tighten it back down to where you can really tighten it to the point where it's like pulling. You just, and you can just keep to where it just will stop, absolutely stop on the button, and it won't move until a fish hits it, and then and so it works pretty well that way. But that old Phillips and 6/7 weight is just old, and it, back in them days they varnished the threads on, and that varnish doesn't last forever like epoxy. And so it's like, okay, either I can rebuild this rod, or I can just build a whole new rod. It's going to take about the same amount of time to rebuild the old one as it would be to build a new one. And I said, well, this rod, that old heavy fiberglass doesn't balance out with these new reels because they keep drilling all these holes in them. And to be in, and I never really wanted to spend a whole lot of money on a fly reel. So I'm thinking, why not just get a graphite, 7-weight graphite, do everything fly rod, do everything I want to do. Light enough to catch bluegill, enough backbone to land catfish and striped and spotted bass. Let's see. Yeah, braid has a very little stretch. I've always been paranoid about braid. Many of you, again, you don't know. I do a lot of handline fishing, or have, and now maybe I'll be right back. Be right back. This is one of my handline reels that's going to one of my customers. This is actually going to one of my patrons. And braid will cut you open like bologna, like a knife to bologna, man. And so I know that with rod and reel, it's not much of a thing, but I spent so much time with this handline that I'm just always, when you say braid, I think, oh gosh, this thing's going to cut my hand open. Because even with my fly rod and my other lines, I don't always reel the line all the way up. I'll get the line up to a point, and then I'll just grab the line and I'll just start hand lining it. I mean, that's one of the things I learned, is that I can hand line with 8 line pound test and catch most of everything in the river, as long as I have a shock leader, like you saw me talking about that'll absorb the shock. So even with rod and reel, I don't really actually need the rod and reel all the time. I can just hand line it. The rod and reel makes the line management easier in this thing. But and these things take forever for me to make, and they're not the most enjoyable things to make, but that's how that works. So braid, if I was fishing like Abu Garcia C3s, especially for catfish, heck yeah. I mean, could you get all that braid on the line, get you some 65-pound braid, get you some 50-pound test, even 50-pound mono, because catfish don't much care about lines and stuff, but that would be a good combo to go. I've never really enjoyed casting until I started the fly rod. I've bait casters, spinning reels. I've just never enjoyed casting. I've always, one, I don't catch very many fish casting, and two, the only reason I do cast is just to get a bunch of line out real fast for the drift or the troll, right, or whatever. I've just, in my parts, it's just, but when I took up fly fishing back in 2007, 2008, it became, that's when my casting got a lot better. Part of the reason I never liked casting because I was never good at it. And I hated doing it, so I never really got better at it until I started fly fishing. And because one of the things in fly fishing, single-handed fly fishing at least, you learn the back cast and you learn the false cast. And you learn just through out there in the backyard, repeated false casting, where you back cast and you bring it back forward. You see where the line's going to go. Well, it's not going to go right where I want to go. So I got to go back and make little minute adjustments. And you do that, and you're learning that cast on the fly, on the go. In the middle of the cast, you're making little small corrections, and you're casting. I find my casting has gotten a lot better when I went back to the spinning rod or back to the bait caster. My casting got a lot better as a result of learning the fly rod. But I don't really cast that much still, just because deep waters, the fish are trolling and drifting, or what really catch the fish in my waters. So I don't cast a whole lot. Yeah. So you said braid will cut the line, the eyes. So are you using metal eyes, or are you using ceramic? I mean, does braid have to have a certain type of like eyelet in it? Because I just don't know. I mean, do you need I mean, I could definitely see it wearing a groove in like some metal eyes or something. I could see it moving over ceramic over a while, but I could definitely see it just cutting through the eyelets over time. So yeah, but anyway, I think how long have we gone? Going about 42 minutes, and I'm just rambling now. Didn't have much of anything to really say. I'm looking forward to finishing up this multi-species fly fishing series, and I don't know if I'm going to move on to jug fishing, which I do jug fishing a lot. And the jug fishing series I put out, the jugging, the show I do, that was really, people really like that this year, and I've got some new jugs geared up that I need to get going on that. I found a bunch of old fly fishing books, like from like 1880s, right? Seriously, fly fishing books. And so I'm thinking about taking those, sort of not recondition them, but put them up on my Teachable page and adding some video commentary or something, things that I've learned. I don't know, I may do that. I'll just have to let you guys know when that time comes up. But message is held for review. Oh. Yeah, I think it. Hey, Paul's in. Yeah, I see Paul over at he's over on the Two Buddy forums, and he's always on Twitter tweeting something or something. See him on Two Buddy, see him on Twitter, and then he, of course, he's got the. I mean, this guy, you should check out Paul's videos, because he is like one of the most inspirational YouTubers of all time. And it's not because he's doing anything fancy or glamorous. The guy does drywall. I know tons of guys who do drywall and framing and roofing and just skilled trade stuff. And you may think that doesn't have an audience here on YouTube. And what are you at now, Paul? I mean, are you over 30,000 subscribers now, or what? I mean, it's like, I know for you, and it's like, And I remember when he only had like 7,000 subscribers, and then something, I don't know what happened, but it's like the dam broke. It's just like it went from 7,000 to 10,000, and then from 10,000 to 14,000, then it went to 20, and then it just kept growing. But the thing is, he's been making tons of videos for a long time, and they're all very useful videos teaching people, this skilled trade, and that's that's something to say. And I see a lot of people who just, they get on YouTube, they put up 4 or 5 videos, and then they just kind of quit, or they may do it for a year or two, and then they just kind of quit. But someone like Paul has been at it a very long time, and his videos are very instructive, very well planned, very well executed, very clear as to what he's gonna teach you and how he's gonna teach you, and very utilitarian, but very effective in communicating and exactly how he's going to teach. And that, if any of you who are on YouTube and want to know how to do videos, especially how to do a how-to video, because that's like a bread and butter type of video here on YouTube, although it's been overshadowed by all the glamorous, crazy stuff that goes on with some of these bigger YouTubers. But I believe that the how-to video is always going to be bread and butter. It's not going to be glamorous. It's not going to be fancy, but you can make a living with it, right? And you can, especially if you have some sort of skill, like me doing these stinking fly reels here. I mean, I'm going to make a whole series about how to make these things, or how to use these things, and how, when, and all that, like I'm doing with the multi-species fly fishing. Same thing. You can build an audience when you have a skill, and you can take that skill and teach it to other people. And it doesn't have to be fancy or glamorous. You don't have to go viral. You just enough people find out. You do it for long enough time, and you get a lot of success. Yeah, evergreen. Yeah, that's it. Well, Paul says he needs my video making skills, and you have no idea how incredibly inspiring, you believe it or not, your videos are, Paul, even though they just may not seem like anything fancy. They don't have to be, because telling a story is telling a story. Okay. A how-to video is in fact a story. In the beginning, you don't have anything, and at the end, you finish whatever project that you're doing. It is a story. It's just not character driven or like the movies and stuff. And as far as video for me, and I love talking about cameras and video, the one book, well, a couple of books. One book I read was How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck by Steve Stockman. I still will go back and read through that every couple of years. And then another book I've read, I got it in my bag. This book right here, called Documentary Storytelling, Creative Nonfiction on Screen. It doesn't look like much, but a lot of the fishing videos you've seen that look more like documentaries, a lot of that's influenced by this book right here. All right. And so that is, you can get that on Amazon. It's actually a textbook it's actually written by like a professor. And so if any of you are interested in that, you can, I read through this slowly over the course of probably last summer, and implemented that slowly over that show called Juggin'. And you see a lot of that I learned in that I'm using in the fly fishing and the River Explorer series and all that now. And so that's what I do there. And so, yeah. And so evergreen content. See, the thing is, a lot of these young YouTubers, they're trying to get a pop. They're looking for that. They're looking in the news. They're looking in whatever is the thing now. That's what they'll put up, and they'll get a lot of views for a couple of weeks, and they'll build big audiences that way. But the thing is, long-term sustainability, evergreen content, stuff that, I remember the video I did about how circle hooks work. Nothing fancy, just me sitting out by my boat showing people how circle hooks work. And it's like one of the top performing videos. Just evergreen content. You got to have a lot of the videos I do. Most of the videos I do, I'm not going to see all that much result from them this year. I mean, pretty much all the business success I'll have this year was done last year. So there's always this lag. I think that's a big part of it. And so it's just, but the evergreen content continues to produce. And so I think as Roberto Blake talks about, help content, help content, hero content. What's the other one? Help hero. I forget the other one. Oh, 39,000. Yeah, yeah. That's all. Like, it's like 40,000 subscribers. It's like, you know, I think that's what's possible in the long term. Help content. Gosh, why I know this. Help content. You know, teaching people how to do stuff, or or helping them in their lives in some way. Hero content, which is pretty much what you see me doing in my fishing videos now. I'm actually making a documentary film out of my fishing adventures, if you will. And then there's help. I can't think of the other one. Roberto Blake says that a lot, but I can't remember the hub content, like what we're doing right here, just sitting around the fire, talking shop, sitting in the pub, talking shop, just to help bind and bond the community together. Like Cole just had some guys coming over, and so that's kind of neat. It's lunchtime. I think I want to get something to eat, and I'm just waiting for a break in the weather. I don't like getting out in the river if the weather ain't right, So I will see you guys later. It's been 51 minutes, and I do plan on doing these live talks like this most every Friday. I was almost not going to do on this Friday, but I said, go ahead and do it. So most Fridays we'll do a live chat. Sometimes I'll have something detailed to talk about. Sometimes it's just me babbling. Sometimes it'll be just Q&A. And then I do 3 videos a week. So 3 videos a week plus the live chat. That's 4 videos a week. I get those up whenever I can. I keep trying to get on the schedule, and it's like, it just doesn't work that way. But expect 3 to 4 videos a week from me. And I've been doing that for actually basically years at this point. So I will talk to you guys later. And it's always confusing. Let's see. All right, that's it. I'm done. Yes,